Welcome to Range World, the podcast where life, development, leadership, growth, intentionality, and experience come into balance right before your very ears. And now, here's your tour guide into Range World, the president of Get Life in Balance, Rain Kansman.
All right, welcome back to Rain's World. And today I have the pleasure of inviting Mr. Bill Lewis in for this interview. And we're going to talk a little bit about encouragement. So let me tell you about Bill. Bill is the president and CEO of Frosty Acre Brands. His food distribution career spans more than 30 years. You were an infant when you started in this business.
That's true. That's true.
He has worked with Cisco, Alliance, and U.S. Food Service, the big ones. And during that tenure, he's held numerous positions, including Vice President of Sales, Regional VP of Sales and Marketing, and Corporate Vice President of Marketing and Executive Vice President for Atlantic Food Distributors. Frosty Acre Brands is a national marketing and food purchasing cooperative dedicated to aligning and unifying the sales, marketing, and procurement activities of its members in order to produce sustainable growth and member business wealth. And that's a key piece. Frosty Acres provides high-quality national brands and private brands, such as Restaurants Pride, to its members. The Frosty Acres Cooperative is comprised of independent food distributors in the U.S., Canada, the Cayman Islands, Puerto Rico, Bahamas, and Bermuda. Members of the Frosty Acres consist of broadliners, wholesalers, retailers, C-store distributors, system distributors, and center of the plate specialists, which is, gosh, a lot more than I understood. Yeah. Frosty Acre Brands was founded in 1954 and based in Alpharetta. Is that how you say that, Georgia?
Alpharetta.
Alpharetta. Okay, very cool. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you very much, Rain. I really appreciate you having me.
Yeah, well, cool. Let's dig right into this. We're going to talk a little bit about encouragement. Why did you choose encouragement as your favorite leadership quality?
Well, I think it's just a human nature element that says that, we do better in situations where we're being encouraged. And if you think about a time in your career when you said, well, I really enjoyed working for so-and-so, it was, I would say that probably the largest percentage of people would say that it was a good experience. I felt like I was a valued member of the team. I felt like, any number of things, but really to distill it down, it was probably because someone encouraged them to fan the flames of their career or give them direction. I think that encouragement for me is, important because I've thought about those very things. It's like, the platinum rule is, do unto others as they would want to have done to them, right? So most people wake up in the morning, don't look in the mirror and say, wow, today's a day where I really want to disappoint my customers, my employer. They say, they have a desire to succeed. And I think that everyone, because their desire to succeed in achievement, that leaders need to fan flames, right? So it's one of those things: is point them in the right direction, give them the understanding, and then get out of their way and let them do their jobs, right? So our jobs as leaders, is to coach and counsel, and encourage and exhort, and then it's sometimes comforting people because they may be going through some challenges,
right?
But at the end of the day, I think encouragement is really important. It's been said that leadership is a behavior, not a position, right?
Oh,
so I just dropped that little thing on you. And by the way, anything that I say that is really significant and you say to yourself, that is really good, I did not come up with that. I saw it from someone else. My dad is a minister, and the joke goes that the first time that you preach a sermon, you're quoting the author from where the book that you're reading.
Right.
The second time, you preach the sermon, it's basically, the other day I was reading and came across this whatever, and the third time you preach it, you say, I, I was thinking, and so so you have the iteration of, or the progression of
I love
ownership.
that.
Yeah.
A little bonus here, and the check's in the mail. Thank you, sir.
That's exactly right.
Thank you for that. So absolutely encouragement. Again, one of my my favorite pieces with that is you're absolutely right. Most human beings know when they messed up. I
Absolutely.
mean, you do have to have those conversations, but most human beings know when they messed up. But yeah, it is so impactful when we get encouragement from somebody we look up to and respect.
Right.
I like that.
I love the story of Henry Ford. It was said that there was a engineer that had made a mistake, and in $1920, the mistake was over $1 million. 1.5, I think, was the number. I did a calculator on it. But a reporter had asked him, said, "Why didn't you fire the engineer for that mistake?" He said, "Why would I fire him? I just paid him $1.5 million in training."
Wow.
So that in itself is encouragement, right? So yes, I just kind of go back to this. People have a desire, and a lot of times, even people who are negative because they're conditioned by feelings of insecurity, feelings of resentment, anger, whatever. And I'm not trying to I'm not a psychologist by any stretch of imagination. I'm just a person who enjoys watching human behavior and seeing that. And I think that what I've seen is when I'm encouraged, it's almost like a water lily, right? A water lily closes up in the dark, right? And then it opens up in the sun, right? So the more sun that we're casting, the more brilliance and the more opportunity and the more effectiveness that a person feels. You're energizing them. And I don't know, I'm sure that there's been studies on this, and we could probably Google it and find it right now, but words are life, right? And again, I told you my dad's a minister, so I'll just know there's one scripture that says that the tongue is sharp as a sword, and it can either bring life or it can bring death, right? So I think that as a leader, and the reason I chose, you asked me my favorite attribute or behavior, is because encouragement. If we're to bring change in our organizations, if we are to bring positive results for our company, our shareholders, our customers, we can set the tone of the company and its effectiveness to execute against plans by encouraging the right behaviors and setting a tone of, yes, accountability is essential. But you can encourage accountability. You can encourage the right behavior. When you see something, you are recognizing the good behavior and reinforcing that bad behavior. And I just think that it's an underestimated thing. I've worked under managers where micromanaging, and they're always, we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it by doing a complete analysis of this data, and we're going to continue to measure those KPIs and measure those KPIs. And KPIs are very important, and knowing the pulse of your business is very important also. But spreadsheets don't make financial results. People make financial results, right? Mm-hmm. And so we have to remember to never lose sight of the fact that we're all just human beings, whether you're building homes or whether you're building a company or whether you're building a widget. The encouragement piece is very important.
Yeah. Wow. So one thing I know about Bill is that this isn't just stuff that comes. You're very intentional. What you do, at least what I've seen, what you do because this is how you believe and where it comes from. So encouragement and meaning it, right, is the other part of that, in being intentional.
Yes, everyone knows if they are sincerely being approached by someone, or it lets, okay, I'm supposed to go by Mary Smith's office and tell her something positive today. That is, people read through that.
Yep.
Okay. Sincerity is key. And if you
Yeah.
do not have the mindset of looking outwardly to the people that are in your life to build them up, to encourage them, to comfort them, to exhort them, then you need to do an analysis of, like, am I just a narcissist where it's all about me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because seriously, I think that, we've read books, we've heard speeches on servant leadership.
Mhm.
But I think what I think is essential to this is that you definitely have to have empathy, and you have to have or you care about these people, right? I've talked to lots of business owners, and they are in the business, and they say, hey, I've got 250 families that I'm responsible for, right?
I love that.
And I love that too, because that's the mission, right? The mission is to help people, and through helping others, we actually have the beautiful benefit of reaping a harvest that's good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring up a great line from me. One of my favorite authors is Max Dupree, and he's retired CEO of Herman Miller. And they had a real downturn one year, and it was like Easter time, right? And he was going in, and on that Monday, he had to let go of, I think, 50 individuals in his company, and he was all despondent about it. And his wife, he goes, why are you so despondent? He says, well, I have to let go 50 people. She goes, you're not thinking about that right. And to your point, she said, you're letting go 50 families.
Yeah.
And he said, I never thought about whether it was building people up, promoting, or letting them go, that it didn't impact the whole family. So I love that. So you've started down this line. Let me ask the second question. What have you witnessed as the impact of offering someone encouragement?
Okay, that's a great question. There's been studies about the release of positive hormones in the body when we are hearing something or watching something that is encouraging, right? So we've all listened to a song that was encouraging, and maybe you listened to something that was not encouraging, maybe. But what I'm saying is that if you listen to something that is building up, and it's interesting because when someone says something I'll give you for instance, right? So these are real things that I'm going to say. This is not just being made up. But when I look at you, Rain, I remember a young man that started in his food service career. I guess you would have been younger too, but when I started in my food service career at Cisco, the amount of impact that you brought into my life from the training and development that took place in that regional training out of Detroit stays with me even today, to the point that you're working along with our membership with some training because of that. And the fact that you care about people, and that's what really came through, that made a difference in my life. So as I'm saying these words to you, if I had a way to check the dopamine levels and the blood pressure and the your blood pressure and your heart rate, there would be peace, there would be a joy, there would be. And so imagine and I love this statement, says most people underestimate the amount of influence that they have on a daily basis, and they overestimate the amount of control they have on a daily basis, right? So we when we hear these things, it creates peace, it creates self-value, right? It inspires people, and also, here's the thing, because everyone's saying as a leader, we need results, right? So if I take care of the providing some self-value and encouragement, then what happens is you become emboldened as a person, because you're strengthening that person with the words that are positive, that create determination to not let the organization, not let the leader, not let the mission, the purpose down, right? Yeah. That's the thing we miss out on it, right?
Yeah.
If everyone thinks, well, if we're going to get the horses to plow or to pull, let's keep whipping them, right?
Right.
Like the beatings will continue until morale improves. That mindset, right? I say that, and certainly there are times that there has to be some, very clean, concise conversation. But at the end of the day, all of that communication about driving towards something, there needs to be a reinforcement of the fact that, you know what, Rain, you may have made a mistake. I've made mistakes. These things you do really well. And this right here, I want to give you the tools that you need, and I want to give you the training that you need, and I want to give you the ability to improve. And I see such greatness and I see such an opportunity in your life. Yeah. At that point, you're going to be determined to make a difference.
Oh, yeah.
Because going back to what I initially said is, no one wakes up and says, today I want to let those down, let down those around you.
Right. No. So, wow. Bill, first of all, thank you for the encouraging words. Yeah, absolutely. I was glowing. You might not have seen it with the lake around me, but I was glowing because that's, again, what I wanted to achieve, was to help people grow, right? And so hearing that feedback is incredibly helpful. And even at my age and all that I've been through, it still is incredibly helpful. So to your point, absolutely. The other thing that, and we both have been and worked for leaders that you talked about like that, the fear-based leadership, right?
Right.
And I grew up in kitchens, and in a kitchen, that was how it was regimented. Whoever's the chef with the highest toke they were in charge, and everybody else was, just there, right? And we complied because we respected the position. But I never committed to those people like I did to the leaders that encouraged me versus the fear-based. Absolutely.
So Great. It's interesting. You use the example of chefs and togas. And I think what's interesting is that if you really look at the entire spectrum there, right? So if that chef that was, derogatory and, but what I find interesting is that chef is actually in the same position as what the sous and the cooks are. He or she is waiting for the encouraging word from the consumer that's in the restaurant saying, that was the best meal. Please tell the chef that was incredible. Or may I see the chef that was incredible?
Right.
Or something of that nature. So that chef is in the same position as the person who they're wanting to encourage.
Right.
The line cook is, or the sous, or the,
Right.
I think, so again, no matter what post or what place we have a position, we all need encouragement.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Cool. I have one more question for you, my friend. What are ways that new leaders can start to encourage their followers?
What are new ways?
That new leaders can encourage their followers?
So I said at the beginning, that it really boils down to living by the platinum rule. Do unto golden rule is do unto others you have them do unto you, right? Mm-hmm. And the platinum rule kind of shifts that to to doing unto others as they want to be treated. Right. So if we become more looking out than looking in, I think that's really important. So like, for instance, let's go back to early on in my career, and if anyone's listening to this who worked for me when I first started out in management, first of all, I want to say I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had to do that too.
Yeah,
I got you.
I want to be very clear that unfavorable experience, because the first thing people think of is when I become a manager, when I become a leader, and so what we do is we immediately go into this micromanagement. And I will control the situation, and we will hit our sales number. We will hit our case number. We will hit our margin number. And so we do that by thinking, okay, just like you have the determination as a salesperson to go out and carve a space and make a difference. You're thinking, okay, these people need to do exactly the way that I did it, because my way worked. Okay, I was salesman of this, and I was this. First of all, no one cares on that front. On what you did. That's the first thing you need to learn. Okay.
Right.
And then the second thing is that I think that the time that you spend as far as you need to invest in yourself, right? And as a leader, you're asking the question, what are things you do? You need to invest in yourself. And what I mean by investing in yourself is taking the time to become a student. The leadership piece is, as I said, is not a title. Leadership is a behavior. So the only way in which that you're going to understand how to improve yourself to be a great leader is by hearing from other leaders, just like we're talking right now. I mean, I made so many mistakes and made such a mess of things by the way that I managed at the beginning, or the way that I coached at the beginning. And I just know that what helped me along was tapping into resources. And everyone's got their flavor, right? So you could say, well, I don't really like Ken Blanchard, or I really don't like John Maxwell, or I really don't like whoever. Find someone that is able to speak into your life to encourage you to change your behavior, to become a person who is, full of empathy, willing to encourage, willing to, coach, willing to put themselves in the line of fire for their people versus pushing the person in front of the line of fire. You know what I mean?
Right. Block these for me.
Right, exactly. And so I think that the investment into yourself on receiving, receiving encouragement through behavioral change, right? I want to be a better leader. Well, it's funny because when we learn we invest in ourselves to be better at something, it matriculates in other areas of our life. You're going to be a better father. You're going to be a better friend. You're going to be a better son. You're going to be a better, in all areas of your life, because it's not when you come to work, you're going to be, well, Bill Lewis is this way at work,
right,
and then this way at home, right?
Right.
And I think that, it's about the enhancement of things that are inside of us that just have good seeds that are inside of us that just need watered, right?
Yeah.
And I also think that sometimes one of the big mistakes of leadership is, or people going into leadership, is they look at the leadership title and say that that's a destination point. And in fact, it's completely the opposite. You'll learn more about yourself by managing other people than what you do if you're in a car driving by yourself saying, I've got my own route and I've got my own, my own gig. But when you start to lead other people, it's amazing the things that come out of you, especially when you're finding out that the world is not exactly the way that Bill Lewis wants it to be.
Right.
There are all these different personality types, and the way that they come and look at a problem. I could be more, whether you're doing disc profiles or it doesn't matter. You'll find out, that interpersonal communication is, you need to understand where the other person is coming from. Well, you have to have empathy to do that.
Right.
And if the person's different than me, then I can still find common ground. And you know what? I find encouragement is a bridge to build between people of different types of communication and right. I think so. That's what I would recommend or say to someone that was an emerging leader in their company. Don't make it about you, make it about the others underneath you, and then invest in yourself to be the best person that you can be in your role. And if you're doing those type of things, the results will blow your mind.
Yeah.
And it may take time to get there, but if you continue doing the right things over and over again, then the law of the universe is that you will be successful.
Yeah. Wow, so much good stuff in there, Bill. A couple of things I want to re-emphasize because I really liked, and one is how many leaders get to their first position and yeah, I got this. instead of being open to, wow, to the reality is, I don't have this. This is brand new. I got to figure this out, right? And gather that. The other one is leadership through your actions. Really cool book I read was First In, Last Out. And it's by the police, one of the fire chiefs from 9/11.
Right.
And they talk about the difference between the old cavalry movies where the leader was sitting on the hill on the white horse and everybody's getting killed down below on their behalf, right? Fighting for,
Right.
where in a fire, the highest ranking official goes in first.
Right.
And they're the last ones out of the fire. That speaks volumes.
Sure does.
Yeah. Woo. So, Bill, thank you so much, man. There was so much good information in this. I really appreciate it. And it's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks. I really appreciate the opportunity, and hopefully, something I said today will help someone, and that, fanning the flames inside of them to be better at who they are.
Oh, I'm sure it will, my friend. I'm sure it was very encouraging.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Have a good day.
You too. This has been another leadership lesson from Rain's World. If this kind of learning whets your appetite, leaving you wanting for another helping of this kind of content, visit me at getlifeinbalance.com.